I'm Jake.
I'm Yuri.
And we're going for a drive.
2019 Hyundai non-pre-production
Veloster N.
Finally.
Yes.
So let's get to the nitty-gritty. Horsepower and torque.
275 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque.
There is a base model N for United States, but Canada is only getting the top one, which is the performance pack.
That's right. Only the good one.
And what's the price of that in Canadian?
$34,999.
Which places it below the Type R.
Yeah.
And right around the GTI. I think actually below the GTI.
Depending on what trim you get.
Yeah, so
amazing value for dollar. And this is exactly the price that I predicted on the dot.
It's true. Follow us on Instagram. We posted the price live. We broke the news.
We're driving on the road right now. We're gonna do some sends on the road. And then later, we're actually gonna be driving on the track at Thunder Hill because we are in California. Shout out Hyundai for inviting us here. Oh, those pop-pops.
The pop-pops are amazing. It's really fast. So far on the road, what would you rate it?
Oh my God, this is a solid 10 out of 10 for what this is for the price. Like solid.
For a front-wheel drive car?
Yeah, this is up there with the Civic Type R, 100%.
Except better because it has the exhaust.
I don't know about overall better, but the exhaust is 1,000% better, yes.
And let's name another quick thing that this has that the Type R doesn't.
What's that?
Auto rev matching on the steering wheel.
Yeah, the best button ever.
You don't have to go through the infotainment. You can turn it on or off.
These guys know what they're doing. Let's talk about a little bit of engine before we get too excited.
That's why he's in the driver's seat first.
That's right.
We have a system.
2-liter 4-cylinder turbo, pushing out lots of horsepowers and lots of boost PSI, because we can also see it on our infotainment and in the center gauge cluster, which is perfect. This does have launch control. You can actually change the RPMs that it does launch at, but keep in mind this is a front-wheel drive car, so it does not launch that hard.
Can you show it for us?
Sure.
N mode, clutch in, floor it.
And pop-pops.
And it does that better than the Type R as well.
Yes, it does. And it has shift lights.
Because the Type R had a built-in launch control, which was actually kind of just a rev limiter.
Yeah, pretty much.
This actually says launch control.
Yes, it does.
Okay, shift lights.
Shift lights are the best thing about this car. Driving it, there's a lot of best things, but this is like number one. Because shifting, you know exactly when to shift. It's up at the top. And remember, this is completely different, but the Acura NSX, shifting that on the racetrack, the shift lights and everything is too low. This is right up at the top.
And these are like dedicated shift lights, not something built into the infotainment.
Yeah, I love this. And the transmission, okay, let's talk about that. 6-speed manual, it is fantastic. Shifts are so precise. The throws are really short. The shifter itself is really short. I have no issues with it, except the lockout ring.
To be honest, the lockout ring doesn't bother me. I know it bothers you, but has it like really bothered you when you were ripping it?
No, you can obviously live with it.
Okay, what didn't bother me surprisingly was my elbow did not hit the armrest.
That's very good.
Remember I complained about that a little bit in the Veloster Turbo.
And the G70.
About the G70.
Yep.
You know, I'm sure if I daily drove it, I would hit it a couple more times, but you can always lift this up. I think what they should do, remove this and put like a little cover just on top.
Yeah, fair enough. Back to the engine. It pulls very hard. There's pretty much no lag. It doesn't feel quite as fast as the Civic Type R, I will say that, but pop-pops.
Yeah, well, Hyundai claimed they're not trying to beat the Civic Type R.
No, they didn't.
They're trying to do like the driving experience, heartbeats per minute and all that stuff, which like, you know.
They're going for fun over lap time.
Yeah, you obviously want to be faster than the other guys, but I guess if you price it lower, don't make it as fast.
Then it's done. You're
and then
good.
Make it sound better and add cooler options and stuff, then like.
Yeah, it balances out. It really does.
It was a solid approach, I think.
Yeah.
Marketing wise.
All right, let's talk about these drive modes. You hit the drive mode button right on the steering wheel, which is amazing. Normal, sport, eco. Then you hit the race flag, and then you have N and N custom.
N custom lets you decide if you want to go any less N than N.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's no option that's like, oh, you want more N.
I will tell you why I love it. It is because I can customize my suspension. So for rough roads, N suspension is very, very rough. Now I'm able to put N custom so I can go into the softest suspension mode on the terrible roads.
The only thing that I think sucks about the N custom mode is that's where you put in your auto rev matching for custom feature. And once it's in N custom, you can't change it on the steering wheel.
That's right, it blocks you out.
But you can also turn your traction fully off in the N custom mode, right?
That's right. So as soon as you hit N custom, your traction's fully off. Defeatable 100%.
Well, you need to double click, but like that makes sense considering we're in 2019 and like
makes perfect sense.
Kids can't like play on playgrounds without it being safe and getting sued.
Yeah. We did talk to Albert Bierman last night, and he told us all about this car, which is fantastic to talk to the guy that actually built this car.
You'll hit him with some spoilers.
He actually said that he wanted some torque steer in this car. And this car does have some torque steer.
What did I like in the Focus ST?
Well, that had excessive amounts of torque steer.
But it's still fun.
Yeah, but this doesn't have that. This has just enough so that you can still feel what the tires are doing, and it's honestly great.
Okay.
Next thing I asked him was about the exhaust. I'm like, hey, why does the exhaust crackle? Whose decision was that? And why are there so many of these crackles? He said, oh, that's because we wanted the turbo to spool between gears, but then we also got some exhaust crackles. So we were like, great, leave it, done.
Can you believe that exists?
Yeah, that's hilarious. Like, talking to the people that design these cars is sometimes like the coolest thing ever. We do also have very good brakes, the N brakes, which we'll test out on the track. Then we also have the eLSD, so it's an electronically controlled LSD. So this thing is just a bargain for all the features that you get. This is a full-out track-ready car.
Bierman said he wanted this to be a car that you can take to the track and it'll be fine without anything.
Exactly, like no other modifications.
The Mark, the test driver, you spoke to him as well?
Yes, the Hyundai test driver for the car that actually races these cars.
Giggling the whole time, and he said there's no fade at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And he's a race car driver, so he really knows how to race car.
Exactly. So we should probably go out onto the track right now.
I think we should.
And then you'll drive when we get back.
Yeah.
Okay. And onto the track, my favorite place. So we are at Thunderhill Raceway, and this is honestly such a cool track to test this car out on. It's a pretty crazy track because there's a lot of blind crests, so if you don't know the track, you'll probably go off. So you got to take it easy the first couple laps.
If I had to learn track, I would definitely want to learn on this. You could drive there, drive back, the car would run great the whole time and survive, because that's what it's built for, and it's awesome.
And there's a lot of late apexes, which is really fun to learn this car on because you gotta have patience. And patience is the key with this car because it's front wheel drive.
Haha! Oh my God, that blind corner thing is insane.
The brakes are outstanding. And I haven't said that about many cars without Brembos. So that is definitely something to say about this car. They are so good. The brake feel, the brake pressure, everything is really, really good. And they have not overheated once on us. And these cars have been being beat on all day.
The auto rev matching is great. I haven't bothered to turn it off because this is a very challenging track to learn.
Yuri's having a blast out here too. He's learning the course, learning the car. And it is so fun to hit these apexes. Here we go, pop, pop. Yes. The shift lights are so good on the track.
But the heel toe position is also really good. We tried some of that on our street driving portion.
And send it flat out. Man, this car handles so well. There is a hint of understeer, but not that much. Like, it's really, really good for what it is. And Albert Bierman, as we said, wanted to dial out a lot of that understeer, and he did a really good job because this car, you keep turning it in, you keep turning it in. You don't think you'll be able to grip, but you grip. There's all these off-camber turns, and there's just so much grip here. Just turn in, turn in, turn in, go. Trail brake it in, which means kind of stay on the brakes a little bit into the turn because this is front-wheel drive, so you kind of have to use weight transfer to your advantage here.
The only thing I'm not too jazzed on is that there's no padding for your knee against the center console area. And I feel like you need to get pretty beat up after a while.
You can definitely hear the exhaust in the car. It's not that prominent, especially with the helmet, but you can hear it with the helmet, which is nice. And they did tell us that there is some pumped in audio from the engine through the speakers, but it's not pumped in exhaust sound.
And I feel like you can correct a lot by just staying in it with this LSD. It's like really good.
This is definitely on par for fun versus the Civic Type R. The Civic Type R had like unreal amounts of grip. It was so good on the track, and this is equally good.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the Type R is faster on track. It felt faster, but it probably felt like a better track car. But this one's really, really good too.
It probably wouldn't set a faster lap time, but the fun factor, it's pretty much exactly the same on the track.
Yo, if anybody out there wants to teach Yuri and Jacob proper driving fundamentals, how to be fast, send us to a driving school. We'll cover it, we'll learn, we'll be the best drivers we can be.
And I'm trying not to go the fastest, so I'm not setting lap times, but I may already have the fastest lap time of the day here, just so you know. I had to throw that in there.
Turns out Yuri and Jacob are the fastest journalists around.
So I think we're done with the track right now. We're gonna pit it in soon, and we should probably do some autocross. Fastest journalist here reporting for duty. JF, do you have something to say?
I must announce that Jacob and Yuri from TheStraightPipes were the fastest people around the autocross.
Would you like to add something else as well?
I must also announce that Jacob was the fastest person around the big track amongst the Canadian journalists.
Send it.
Visor test. 3, 2, 1.
Yes!
Perfect.
Good job.
Box test we can't do. We still haven't done.
No, we haven't.
Whatever. Honestly, it's going to be less than the Type R. Be ready for it.
It's probably going to be pretty bad.
So let's bring up the fact this is a 3-door. There is no opposite version for England or anything because there they get the i30N.
But we did talk to Albert Bierman about this, and he said he could probably get himself a left-hand drive one with the door on the left-hand drive because it would be a right-hand drive car, which is hilarious.
I think maybe they should make it a 2-door eventually.
Eventually, I think, yeah. But that's kind of its gimmick, whatever.
Okay, and Bierman was also saying that this has a lower center of gravity than the i30N.
Yeah, the overall car is a little bit lower, and I believe this one weighs a little bit less, maybe 200 pounds.
But he said the i30N is built a lot stiffer for those roads compared to the potholes and stuff in North American / Korean roads.
That's right.
Because the Veloster N is for South Korea.
Yes, and we've discussed this before, and I do prefer the look of the i30N substantially to this one.
But I prefer the look of this one, which is perfect for me.
And we just found out that the N line is coming to North America, so Canada will have the Elantra GT Sport N line, which will look like an N, but it won't get the full N engine.
So pretty much M Performance and S line.
Exactly.
Which is like, you know, that's the way everyone's going. So like, what are you gonna do? Not do it?
Yeah, it's gonna look cool though.
So looks wise, we have black and white in Canada as well as the blue.
And America gets red, Canada may get that later.
And it's cool because like all the rally cars were this color, you know, they had stickers all over them, so it's cool to have like the heritage color.
The N Performance Blue. So they did a lot of changes in aerodynamics on this car. So the front bumper actually has real downforce, and so there's that gigantic wing at the back.
Yeah, the spoiler looks cool and the front bumper and everything just looks so cool.
And it's all real downforce meant for high-speed stability.
Real downforce is the best downforce.
Because this has been honed on the Nürburgring, which I've been on. And the funniest thing is this ESC mode has a detection for the carousel. Now, if you're not familiar with the carousel, it's the most famous part of the Nürburgring racetrack. This thing actually detects when you're on it and adjusts the ESC. That's the craziest thing ever.
Yes, because N stands for built in Namiang and honed on the Nürburgring.
Yes, it does.
So I guess every single future N model has to be honed on the Nürburgring.
Has to.
Which is
pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And Bierman drives it himself.
Yeah, he does.
He's the last sign off on every car on the Nürburgring.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that?
He actually told us as well that he wanted to dial out some of the power understeer, and man, so far, I think he did a great job. Oh, and Canada is getting these 19-inch wheels standard.
Yes, but the US is getting options for better wheels as well.
Yeah, and worse wheels because they can also get 18s on the base.
Yeah, do you recommend the base? It's got less horsepower and a lot of like other stuff. It doesn't have the LSD.
Absolutely not.
Get the top trim or get out.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
we haven't driven it. We're just kind of like just saying get the top.
Performances and S lines, like whatever.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the interior for a minute.
Sure.
We've got very bolstered seats. They are Hyundai seats. They're not Recars or anything to keep the price down.
But they are very comfortable.
Yeah, and very bolstered. You can't adjust the bolsters or anything.
No. And then we got cheap plastic everywhere because this is still a Veloster.
Yeah. Like whatever. We've got like blank buttons and stuff.
The steering wheel?
Steering wheel feels good. This is the best feeling Hyundai steering wheel I've felt.
It is different from the regular Veloster as well.
Good. And I love these little buttons. Like, they're so cool. That's like, it's like the M5.
Yeah, I know.
Those two buttons right there. They just move them down there.
What did I say? I love those buttons.
Because that's what happens when you get the guy from BMW.
Yeah.
We also have some blue accents in here, which is nice.
Yeah, it's
And
cool.
then we've got the cool Hyundai infotainment that always works perfectly. And it is the kind that looks like a tablet mounted to the dash, but I love that.
Yeah, and it's got some glass black, but whatever in this car.
It is glass black.
Yeah.
Don't mind it.
It's so minimal, that's why.
So in the gauges, we've got two separate pods, RPM and speed.
And then a digital thing in the middle.
Normal Hyundai Kia Genesis, it looks great.
No lag, it's great.
But I feel like the oil temperature, torque, and turbo is like a little bit faster and more detailed than this than everything else. And the graphics in here for all the sport modes are better than the Stinger were.
And it's super customizable, everything's easy to see. You have that N button as well in the infotainment.
Rewinding satellite radio stations.
How many?
10.
Boom.
Apple CarPlay, Android Auto.
Standard.
Which is perfect because that's all you ever need in today's world. So overall, like, where does this land to end the Hot Hatch Challenge? Because technically, I think this is the completion of it.
Yeah, I guess so for now. I honestly don't know. This is one of my favorites.
I think this kind of has to win if you play out the points and do all the math.
Well, if you include the box test, I don't know if that's a good thing.
I don't think the box test matters for the hot hatch challenge.
But that's what makes a hot hatch, is practicality.
Okay, so then let's just say very near the top, definitely in the front wheel drive department, it's probably the most fun.
Fun for sure, yes. I would take this, I will say this, over GTI.
Type R, this or the Type R. Let's take our time and then end it on that, because that's the real question people want.
For the money, I would take this. But if you do have the extra cash burning in your pocket, and you do happen to have even more extra cash to buy an aftermarket exhaust for the Civic Type R, go for that. And if you want to do lap times, probably the Civic Type R. But if you're gonna drive this every day on the street, I would go for this.
I think for both sections, you know, tracking it, street, or a little bit of both, I have to take this. I just love my Hyundai infotainment, interiors. I love the looks of this thing. I like the color more. More track ready, I think, maybe even.
Nah, I wouldn't go that far.
Just as track ready?
I would go that far.
More pop, like
The pop-pops make this car so much better for me. Like,
Yeah.
I love exhaust, and the tone of it is great, and it just, like, come on. Veloster N.
Yeah.
Honestly, for the roads, it's so good because you get to listen to that exhaust every day.
And don't forget, the more of these that you guys buy, the more cool cars that are going to exist in the future.
Yeah. So if the N brand takes off, we get to drive even cooler cars in the future.
Yeah, buy N cars for us. And Type Rs,
Yeah.
and Golf Rs,
That's
and
right.
GTIs, and everything.
Don't buy base models of anything.
Yeah, only top trims.
Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Patreon.com/TheStraightPipes and join our YouTube membership. Show me that Veloster bruise. Oh wow, what happened right there?
Wow.
I'm Yuri.
I'm Jacob.
And we're going for a drive. This is a subscription break. Don't forget to subscribe.
Subscribe right now. Subscribe. We didn't do that.